Ще раз добрий день, колеги. Ми починаємо наш наступний брифінг на тему розкриття схеми розкрадання земель.
Dear colleagues, now we will discuss the disclosing of land theft scheme in the National Academy of Agrarian Sciences of Ukraine. I am happy to introduce Irina Suslova, Member of Parliament, Samopomich. I am Irina Suslova. I am extra faction Member of Parliament, and we have Alexei Banyuk. We have tested and investigated 1,000,000 hectares, and while now the National Academy of Agrarian Sciences has only some 200,000 hectares, and this shows that a big amount of land was theft, and the schemes look as follows. The newly established company concludes a contract with Agraprom, and either sells fuels, and the Agrarian Academy of Sciences buys these products or fuels at lower or higher prices. Thus, this enterprise, which is under the Academy of Sciences, is made bankrupt within 1 year or 2 years, and soon after this, all the property, including land which belongs to this bankrupt company, goes to concern Agraprom. This is a commercial company which belongs to Sergei Taruta. This is general access to information, and many times this was shown on TV. The second type of scheme, when National Academy of Agrarian Sciences makes decision to give some property to Presidium for use, and thus members of Presidium conquer some property and then carry out activities in those objects of property for the sake of their own. The third type of scheme, when some land plot has a special status for some specific activities. These land plots might be transferred to some companies which develop these territories and build something on them. Actually, also National Academy of Sciences withdraws land from research institutions, and then it applies schemes number 1, 2, 3. So they many times they made enterprises bankrupt. For example, Melitopolsky district, Vedrodjina village, 100 employees working in state enterprise at 64 hectares of land. And Ruslan Gavrilyuk will describe another example. When in Zaporizhia Oblast, civic activists from Vedrodjina village discovered and disclosed there's a scheme related to Agraprom company, there were many attempts to intimidate him, and he was attacked and beaten, and these cases were registered by law enforcement agencies. Together with Yuri Derevyanka, my colleague from Vola Party, we submitted members of parliament inquiry, and we made a presentation that these schemes are used. And soon after this, Ruslan again was intimidated. After this case of intimidation, we requested that he should be provided with some protection on behalf of the state, because he's doing such important thing. He tries to reveal and disclose all these unfair schemes, how lands are withdrawn from state property. Because when we are able to make these things public, we make it possible to protect
Доброго дня всім присутнім. Мене звуть Гаврилюк Руслан, житель села.
Hello to everyone present here. I am Ruslan Havralyuk, a student of the Southern University. In October 2013, I was invited to the meeting at our village. This very meeting, it became clear to me that in 2011, Tovagroprom company had signed an agreement. The essence of the agreement was as follows. The company supplied chemicals 50% higher than the market price, and the farm company had to grow the crops and plants and give them to Agroprom. As you know, in 2011, this was drought period, and there was no rich harvest, so there was nothing to deliver to Ukragroprom company. This very company demanded 100% fine over the expected amount, and our enterprise currently owes 18.5 million hryvnias. There are 126 enterprises like this in our country. I contacted 37 enterprises like ours. For example, one in Vasilevsky region, or one more in this very region, Liko, Znamenka, Kamensko-Dniprovsky region, and so on and so forth, all over Ukraine. So the residents of these settlements demanded in 2013, and they continue to claim now. The fact is that equipment is being sold. We want to use our legitimate rights for receiving the land in our youth. I was chosen the head of the initiative group for half a year. I was combating, and we were sending collective referrals to the village administrations and even to Verkhovna Rada. I come here to Kyiv as to my primary job place, and we received no concrete information. When I came up to the National Academy of Agrarian Sciences, they told me that our enterprise owed 180 millions. I, along with other civic activists, launched investigation. We were a successful enterprise. We were boasting of the enterprise, and out of nowhere we have this big debt. People raised and we blocked the highway to Simferopol. As a result of this activity, I was attacked at 3 after midnight, at 3 a.m. I received injuries, but people came up again, blocked the highway, and we received no other response but promises. Then in 2014, under my leadership, we gathered all the residents of villages in Zaporizhia Oblast. We came up to the Oblast State Administration and we explained if the minister does not pay attention to our problem, then there will be a village Maidan. Again, we were promised golden mountains, but the promises are not fulfilled so far. Yesterday, at 4 a.m., I received a telephone call from the civic activist from Kherson Oblast. I previously spoke about them, about those 37 enterprises I contacted. She was also attacked. I would not like to give you details, but they are really grave. She is a woman, you know, she took her child and just left her settlement. Yesterday I was asking her not to be afraid, to come to Kyiv with me to find protection, but the answer was, Ruslan, just gather your belongings and run away. Yesterday I had talks with civic activists. I also gathered a meeting in my native village yesterday, and we so what the common residents of villages demand? They need only one thing: for the prosecutor's office to carry out real investigation of the mentioned schemes, to have a look at the price margin, and we are even ready to repay the debt, but the debt which reflects real sums. But the following was done 2 weeks ago. These very enterprises were visited by evacuation vehicles of the Ukragroprom. All the equipment was lifted, was loaded, and they interrupted this huge campaign. I came up to Kyiv. I discussed with Irina Mykolaievna Suslova the problems. I saved this very farm, but yesterday there was a resolution to ban alienation of the whole property. It means that so far civic activists are protecting our farm and we are not seized the equipment, but up to the harvest time we may be deprived of this equipment and machinery. You know, they seize equipment and machinery as repayment of the fine. So I described you the scheme in details. What pertains the residents of the rural areas, they wanted to leave everything and come here to Kyiv, but as far as you know, a suing campaign is in process so far. But they asked me, they elected me to be their representative and highlight this problem. because if nothing is done, all the rural areas representatives will be here in Kyiv under Verkhovna Rada, and they expressed their intention to create rural 100. They demand investigation of the mentioned schemes. Maybe some officials were displaced from their positions, but the scheme is in place so far. So if nothing changes in April, all the rural activists will be here in Kyiv. We demand the prosecution and the criminal proceedings against these illegal actions. Secondly, introduction of amendments to the Land Code of Ukraine to protect lands beyond the rural areas, the village, and to leave this land at the possession of the villages. I would like to work for myself. I do so. I pay all the taxes to the state budget. I earn bread for me and for the whole of Ukraine. So to exemplify these very enterprises, 126 of them are state enterprises, and they are allegedly engaged in agricultural business. For example, for some kind of wheat, we receive 100%, for all the more than 100. As regards of hybridization, the academy arguments, we may not be engaged in this. 10, 20 hectares of land is more than sufficient in order to carry out hybridization. As of 2010, they had over 1 million hectares. So far, they have only 360,000 hectares. Where did that land go? Currently, they are using this very land available. That is why I ask everyone for assistance. I ask the General Prosecutor's Office to be engaged in the matter and don't mock at our village. Just the previous year, we helped our economy, we raised our economy and helped it boost. Thank you so much. Additionally, I would like to mention and demonstrate some documents.
Additionally, I would like to mention that we send our letters to Mr. Avakov, to Mr. Yatsenyuk. We also send a second letter to Mr. Avakov. We read an address to Mr. Shokin from the parliament and to the Minister of Agrarian Policy, Pavlenka. That is, we submitted all necessary documents, we disclosed those schemes, and we described all the outcomes, negative outcomes from the schemes. As Vola Party, we have registered a draft law providing for transfer to the local communities the right to dispose the land around their villages, which will allow those local communities to keep control over those lands, and it won't be possible to apply such schemes anymore. And also we suggested to amend legislation in a way that the land plots around villages, but not in villages, won't be disposed without permission of local residents. Thank you very much for this opportunity to reveal these schemes, and unfortunately it's not an example of some specific village and some specific case. This is a systemic scheme which is applied in many enterprises in Ukraine, and we expect that those things which were described today, they will allow to protect such activists as Ruslan Havryluk from Zaporizhia Oblast, from those bandits and criminals who try to intimidate employees of such enterprises, where they try to employ unfair schemes. As for yesterday's case with another activist, we will make inquiries to the Ministry of the Interior, to the Prosecutor General. I hope that this will be the last such case, and that in future we will manage to stop this negative process. If we have any questions, we are ready to answer them. Well, I have a question. You mentioned documents, and we mentioned in your press release that you addressed to the Ministry of the Interior and the Prime Minister, whether you've got any answers from them. Unfortunately, neither the answer from the Prime Minister nor the answer from the Ministry of Interior, and even more the answer from the Ministry of Agriculture, were not received. We made the members of parliament inquiry to the Prosecutor General. I believe that Prosecutor General has already successfully demonstrated that he can fight against such offenders, and that he will able to tackle the situation. We have a lot of information which I hope allows to start proceedings against and persecution against the offenders. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we expect